Right then guys, got a Vivaro C, so that's a Peugeot Expert. So we're on the new PSA vehicle, not the old Renault Vivaro, Renault Traffic. Anyway, so this is a 1.6 diesel. That is the engine ECU, MD1CS003, and this is the code P0493, symptom byte 62, fan assembly. So, bit of a 2-for-1 this video, because it's very similar to a combo I had a couple of months ago. Same code, P0493, fan assembly, incoherence between the setting, no command, and the cooling fan status. So basically, it's not happy with what the cooling fan module or the cooling fan resistor is telling the ECU. Basically down to a open circuit in the cooling fan. The cooling fan is open circuit. So I'll just show you some live data. Go into standard parameter measurements, go into this one, cooling stroke air conditioning information. Click on that. And we want to be looking at this here. At the minute it's saying activated status. Fan relay assembly status not activated. Fan assembly speed reference value 0. When you're looking at doing these checks, I'm going to show you in a second, make sure your air conditioning is switched off inside the van. Otherwise, it will be asking for 100% and it will flag up a different code. So at the minute, it's saying active. So I'm going to show you down the regulator what it should be. Under the bonnet, just remove the air intake, and then under there, this area here, that is where the cooling fan resistor module control unit, that's where that goes. This is the connection for the cooling fan. Normal spec for this is 13 ohms, so you can check it, just disconnect it, check it across the two wires. 13 ohms is a new fan. This is open circuit, off limits, so that's the issue with the cooling fan. So what you want to be looking at, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a purple wire, pin 4, which is a purple wire. So at the minute we're reading 11.73 volts. It thinks it's active. That needs to be, or should be, around 0 volts. So if that fan was good, i.e. it was working, it had 13 ohms of resistance, that should pull that voltage down to around 0 volts. And then that status will change. The code will clear. And I've got to also stress that in the combo, there were no lights on, no warning lights on, but there was 0 turbo boost. And the only code that was in it was this fan related code. On this Vivaro, the light does come on, still no turbo boost, but it's in limpo mode. So there's a few different warning lights on the dash. Right, what we can do now, we can simulate the cooling fan. So at the minute it's saying active status, 11.71 volts. The cooling fan is open circuit. I am back probed into position 4, purple wire, and put that to earth, and that will change to not active. That will pull the voltage down to 0. That code will now clear and the van will drive with boost. So just to show you that change, not active, disconnect the wire, that jumps up to 11.7, that changes us to active status. So it wants a cooling fan. You guys, Peugeot guys, Citroen guys, have probably seen this before, but for me as a Vauxhall, as a old school Vauxhall tech, these vans are quite new. So hopefully that will help someone in the future. Without making this video even more complicated than it already is, I just want to touch on the fan assembly speed reference value. So at the minute that's at 0. The van's running, it's quite happy, other than the service light on. We've got no air conditioning on, we've got no codes. If I try to do a DPF regen, so a static regen or a dynamic regen on the road, it wants a cooling fan. The cooling fan doesn't work, it's open circuit. So it tries to turn on the fan, it can't, it flags a code. If you try and put the air conditioning on, so stick the aircon on, aircon's clicked on, it's asking there 51%, it's going up 100%, so it's asking for 100% of the fan. It's still saying not activated status. You hear the bongs, the lights come on. We go back into the code. And there we go, the code's come back, and it's also come back with an extra code, P0495. Fan assembly, lack of coherence, that is what we had more or less with the combo, and then the fan assembly code, which I explained earlier on. So hopefully that makes sense and I've not overcomplicated it. Right then guys, hope that video was useful. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and maybe even if you're feeling a bit generous, you could always buy me a coffee using the new link I've added to the channel. That'd be great. Cheers.